So you did your graduation from National Defense Academy, right? Now, just take us through the process. Like, how is the selection process of NDA on a higher level? Because there are many who are going to watch this and who don't know what NDA is. So just for them to understand what is the process and what are basic steps that are involved in the process.
A lot of people are in the dark about how it actually is. I mean, the training or how, and which is okay. It's a basic paper which consists of mathematics, English, and general knowledge. So the mathematics section is separate. The English and general knowledge section is separate. Now, I wouldn't say it's the mathematics paper is tough. I mean, it's a lot of people are able to clear the written exam, the mathematics and the English and the general ability sections. And it is so obviously they have a certain set of percentage that certain set of marks. I think I am not aware of the NDA marks, but for CDS I think it's the minimum is 20 marks in all categories that you need to get. So once you clear that, you're selected for the SSBs that you're actually filtered in. So there might be around 5,000 students that will be selected through the written exam. And in the end, only about 400 are going to be selected to go to National Defense Academy or the Naval Academy. So it's for 5 days. So the first day is basically a screening process, and by screening, you understand, right? They're just going to filter you out, filter you in for the rest of the process. So the screening process is basically one. We have to write a story and then discuss the story in a group. Try to arrive at a common conclusion, and what they're actually testing you upon is your various abilities of how you interact in that group itself. Whether you take the chance to speak for yourself, or whether you are listening to others' points or so on. That is what you're tested upon. The second one is a basic IQ test. Now, based on the score of these two tests, you are selected for post the screening phase. That's for the first day. Second day onwards, second day you have psychology tests. The psychology tests actually vary. You have word association test. Write a word within. You get a word. Write a sentence within 15 seconds. You have a thematic perception test, which is about a story sometimes given with negative connotation, but you got to evolve a positive story around it. And that actually helped me improve my story writing skills for MICA. I think MICA also has similar story writing exam. So there's STAT, there's WAT, there's SRT, which is situation reaction test. You have to depending on the situation that is provided to you, you have to write it. Third day onwards, there's a group task. So various group tasks would be given to you. Be it an obstacle course that you run with your friends, be it an individual obstacle course that you run. Be it a group task or where you are supposed to go from point A to point B using only your wits. Try to. There'll be the various situations provided, such as
these are all physical tasks, basically, right?
I mean, they are physical tasks, but they don't test your physical ability in any.
Right.
The individual obstacles do test your physical ability, but the main agenda of this task is not test your physical ability, it's to test how do you do when you are with the group. The task actually lasts about 2 days or so, and you also have an interview between that. You have an interview everywhere actually.
So since we're talking about interviews, so when you talk about NDA is usually people who are under 19 years of age, right?
Yeah.
Now these folks are gonna sit there for interviews, and so for them it's sort of going to be a little difficult to understand profile building and profile, how to pitch themselves and etc., because that's a very young age, to be very honest, right? But in general, when you talk about SSB interviews, you to leave a good impression, what are the top 3 things that you think should be a key factor?
I think in an interview, we live in a time machine when we're in an interview, because if you make an error, if for example right now, suppose I'm stammering a bit, right? So either I'm going to be reflecting upon, oh shit, I did stammer. How is that going to? How is he going to judge me on that? B, I'm either living in the future, that okay, I'm going to keep on stammering. Okay, I need to stammer less such and so. I need to guide the conversation to this way. I need to guide the conversation that way. And so you're living in that future. And again, that's going to lead you to errors because you're not listening to him at that moment of time. So the best is the presence of mind and living in the present, in the sense that you got to take a pause sometimes, not in the general sense like a normal pause. It should not be a lengthy pause where to articulate. The pause should not be for articulation. The pause should be to grasp that moment actually, because see, once you grasp that moment, you can guide it along any manner. So people tend to think that, okay, my talking point is supposed to be there. Like if for example you have broken the Guinness World Record for stacking donuts, the tallest stack of donuts and all that, you feel that is a good talking point, and you want him to come to that talking point, and that's why you're trying to lead the conversation. But that's going to be pretty difficult task, okay, if you're going to take it to donut. But what you can do is, if you kind of know, okay, what I'm talking about right now, that is definite, then you would be calm. You would not be worried about what is going on in the future and so on, and you keep on. So this see, there's this constant fear running in people's in the back of people's head that okay, what if I don't know? What if I don't know to this and that? The point is to assume that the point. See, in an interview, no one is going to shine better than you, or no one is going to be. It's like interview is not a test of your IQ and all that per se, right? It's just how you're putting yourself forward in front of them, and you can only do that when you know yourself best and when you're calm, right? So I mean, it's like any Tom, Dick, and Harry would tell you, hey, be calm in the interview and all that. But the point is, how do you get that calmness is by just by being overconfident. By the way, I'll tell you this. That is one a tip that I would recommend, is to be overconfident, and not in that sense that you kind of screw up everything. To be overconfident in the sense that you have faith in yourself, that okay, you know what, I am the best. No one is going to talk this interview more than me. So they're going to select me.
Isn't this the case that in interviews you're also asked about some current affairs, IQ?
Yeah.
So how to prepare for that? So one is this, how to give an interview, but second is how to prepare for such questions.
I remember when I was...
And just one more thing. So one, how to prepare, and also if you're not able to do well, so the question is asked to you in the interview, you don't know the answer, what then? Because there's a high chance that you will not know all the answers.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time that's what's going to happen. And like, even though given the previous recommendation of being in a calm state of mind, the problem is the answer is going to be on the tip of your tongue, but you would not be able to speak. If they ask you, what is the name of this and this person who did this and this, it'll be on the tip of your tongue. You have read it, but you won't be able to recollect it. Even that case occurs, right? See, the first thing that I would say, like, usually the interviews that I had been to in the SSBs, actually they asked me certain because actually they can make out in an SSB they can make out. I would say that they could make out that, okay, this person knows what he's talking about. This person has good general knowledge and so on. And then they're going to ask you difficult questions purposely. Okay. They're going to ask you difficult questions purposely because they want to see how you falter when you're nervous and all that. Okay. The point is, even if you're not able to answer that, see, now I can give a tip about how to recollect, right? What you've read, you've done your best. You read the newspaper just before going to the interview and all that. You know what is the state of affairs going on in the country since the last 2 days and so on. And then you go for the interview and you're unable to recollect. There's no one can help you with that, right? But the best thing to understand right now is that he's not going. The thought process in his mind is not going to be that of being judgmental towards you. It's going to be that of being evaluating you actually. So he's not going to be like, okay, he doesn't know this. That is shameful. Okay, but rather he's going to be like, okay, if he doesn't know this, how should I evaluate him now, right? So it's about how you perform it, even if you don't know the answer. It's like you can. I think that must have worked in my favor. I have been frank about it. And all that. So no, I don't know the answer to this one. And then actually in my interview also they give you they try to help you. They're trying to judge. They're constantly trying to evaluate you. All you gotta do is not lose your cool. That's all. In one of the interviews, they did ask me to speak about 3 points that were going on. Speak on 3 newspaper headings actually. So even in that case, you got to be calm and try to recollect, because obviously you've read it, right? That's like you got to read the newspaper before going for the interview. that has to be there definitely. So that recollection needs to be there only when you're calm and composed, and okay, you first focus on, okay, I'm going to speak about this. Stop with that entire thing about what should I do that it can be the best the best performance or oratory skills that you've ever shown. Don't worry about that at the moment. Worry about what is going on in the present.
So you cleared SSB, now you reached NDA. So I just wanted to quickly ask you about how your experience was at an NDA. And so right now you're in a very 2 different fields, right? So you were in a different field and you were graduating. Now you're in a completely different field. So how were the learnings from your experiences at NDA? How are they helping you right now?
I mean, even though the fields were different, I think learning were the same. I mean, whatever you learn, wherever you learn, you can mold it to suit wherever you are. So, for example, see, NDA, I would not have been in any other college than NDA, but even if I go back in time. It was a tough life. Yeah, it was a tough life always. But
I think that's something I hear from any NDA grad.
Good hear that. But it's as they say, it's the worst days of your life when you're there, but it's the best days of your life when you're out. In the junior terms, you're made to follow orders. You just have to follow whatever is being given to you. That inculcates a sense of responsibility in you. That inculcates a sense of being loyal in you, and so on. So you realize that, okay, so for some reason, even if your mind disagrees with the other person, you kind of develop a trust. Okay, he is going to discover what went wrong. It's not up to me, but chalo, let me follow whatever he has said.
I had here, that is, so when you say that you're made to follow rules and regulations and you're made to follow orders that are being told to you, so how is that helping you when you think about your own thought process? And there, of course, there'll be times when you'll have differences than those orders that you're made to follow. Yeah. So how do you cope up with that, or do you not, or is there no option of your say? Or I'm just trying to understand as to what goes in and how do you handle that particular scenario?
We did not have much liberty to voice our own opinions in the initial phases, but that gave us an advantage of knowing what could go wrong or what can be done better in the later phases.
Correct.
So earlier you cannot voice your opinion, but in the when you approach your senior terms, that's another 3 sets of terms, and that's when you are put forward in leadership roles only. So you stop being a follower, you just become a leader, in the sense that you are now responsible for those beneath you. And that time, see, if you're just, so it's not being thrust from follower to leader. It's just being, instead of a gradual process, people say, okay, I said trust. So you might have observed there's not a gradual process of leading, right? But the point is that whatever the learnings that you had to do as a leader were done when you were a follower. By doing the thing, right thing, and by doing the thing that was that you were told to do, but thinking how it could have been done better, or what could have been done different. If you tell me for future perspectives, how would that learning help me? I would say that to know when I can voice my opinions, to see when it is the situation demands that I definitely need to voice my opinions. And in that process, knowing how much of it I can change, and if at all you can't change anything, and if at all you can't watch it, the best thing to know is, okay, if when I get into that role later on, how am I going to change stuff then? That it becomes a learning experience then.
I love asking this question because there's always very interesting answer to this. So what do you think are basic myths and stereotypes when it comes to people thinking about NDA or think about armed forces as a profession, basically?
It's are actually that people think it is not on the basis of something that is on your own merit. That's one myth that I've seen, that they think that so they equate it to it being a government job, that is, but they equate it to it being where you've got to have connections and so on to get into the army and all that, which is like, no way. There's no way if you don't clear the 5 days, and there's no way you're getting in the army.
One very dumb myth, dumb potential myth that I think might be there, is that you have to be physically strong, you need to be well built to actually clear that. So what about that? Is that true, or is it?
Not at all. Not at all. You remember me in school, right? I was relatively overweight.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah. So a few of our classmates who went into NDA, right? The point is that you're going to be molded there, and it's their job to make you fit, and go in as fat as you want or as overweight as you want. But yeah, there are certain medical that put a restriction on what weight you're supposed to have and all that. But it's not that okay, I need to be able to do this. This myth that now you say has led to another myth existing, that okay, I need to be able to do this and this and this physically. I need to be able to do 20 push-ups or 30 push-ups before going to which is not true at all. You're not able to do a push-up, that's their job to make you do a push-up.
From NDA to MBA. So this is something which is a very interesting story. What was the reason? What was the reason of you pursuing an MBA after graduating from NDA?
I was doing gymnastics, and in that process, I already had a partial ligament tear. And like an idiot, I was continuing it. I was continuously putting strain on my knee, and finally the ligament snapped. And the ligament tear led to me being a permanent category in the army, and that led to me being boarded out. So boarded out is a term where you're sent away from the academy because you're not fit according to the standards that are to be there. So that's basically what happened. That happened to me in the military academy.
So you have been in NDA now. You've probably dreamt of becoming an officer, and when something like this happens, it's not under your control. How do you sort of pull yourself together? Because I'm asking this question because I'm sure there'll be many people who, not many, but there will be few more people who suffer through the same, if not from an NDA perspective, but like in general. Right, some things might happen which is not under your control, but you still have to keep moving forward. So what is that thing that you should do, or what keep in mind to sort of pull yourself together and think ahead?
Illusionary state of mind that okay, whatever happened has happened. Not to sound superstitious and all that, but I think you gotta go with the mindset that okay, this has happened for the good of it. Or thinking that the grass is actually greener on the other side, kind of making yourself believe that life is better than this life. So it's a good thing I'm going there, though that may not be the case. But right. You never know, right? So keep. I would say that keep fooling yourself into believing that you're gonna do better wherever you're gonna go. If you're going into if you face any failure now, so that actually tells you that okay, that's a good thing. Come on, I now can start from scratch, or I'm better off than when I was. So always continuously saying and look at it in the perspective of I looked at it in the perspective of YOLO. You only live once, right? In the sense that when I was in the army, I knew how my life would be charted out. Like 5 years down the line, I'll do this. 10 years down the line, I'll do this, and so on. And once I got out, there was uncertainty, and that's actually good. I mean, you gotta start liking the uncertainty, because then that gives you that is the only thing that will make you happy, because if you know what you're gonna do, or so on and so forth. Okay, So that kind of takes away all the fun from that this side. So keep telling yourself that it's good that I'm doing this now. It's good that I'm doing this. You only live once.
How has your transition been, from experiencing the NDA life to right now actually studying MBA and studying those subjects which you probably didn't think that 5 years back you will be studying. So how is that transition?
MBA life, I mean, completely opposite to what my life when I was studying in NDA was, like in the sense that I'm studying here. That's the difference, I would say. That's come. So you do study in India, but there's obviously a focus given on physical fitness and all, as compared to study. But here I'm like sitting in front of a laptop. I think around 12 hours a day, and it's like wow. I mean, I've never sat so long, and it's an interesting thing. The first part is about adopting it to it. Once you adopt to it, and then you're like, okay, now I'm sitting 12 hours in front of the laptop, and so you adopt to it, and then you start changing it. Okay, now I'm not going to sit 12 hours in front of the laptop. I'm going to take short 30 minutes break. I'll do this. I'll keep meeting my physical standards in the 30-minute break and all that. So I adopt and then mold. Overall, I love the discovery that has happened in the sense that I never knew. I get to meet new people. That's what. I mean, MBA is all about your peers, right? So you get to meet new people whom are new, like in the sense, new people in the sense that like these people bring a lot of different stuff into conversations and into into various activities that we do, even in the MBA official activities that we do, be it when we're running for competitions and so on. They bring a lot of different perspective, and you get to learn a lot. I mean, you soak in all that stuff from different sides, and it's you're actually building yourself through it.
Once you had your options for evaluating what to pursue after NDA, why did you only choose MBA? Like what, and why not the other options?
I mean, I have an answer to that, but I don't know whether the answer would be relevant to everyone. I think I chose, I mean, I really frankly do not know subconsciously why I chose this, but I think I might have chosen because it was like the shortest way out, in the sense that, in Indian IME, it gave you the sense that, okay, you are part of the organization and you are like, you are placed there, right? In the sense that you're completely an valuable element in the organization, and this has a meaning. Your entire role in the society has a meaning, right? So it was about finding that role in society again for me, not to be completely dependent on my family and all that. So I was like, okay, I've got to do something. So I decided that, okay, maybe if I should pursue, maybe if I should give the UPSC, or maybe if I should give CAT. And so I came out of the Indian Military Academy in around August or so, and November was CAT. So I was like, okay, let's focus on CAT first, and then I'll think about stuff later on. So I did give CAT, and through CAT I got into college, and I was like, okay, cool, let me pursue this now. So it's that.
You also had UPSC in your options.
Yeah, it was on the back of my head. But once I put my eyes towards CAT, I was like, okay, let me not think about UPSC right now.
Right, makes sense.
Let me worry about it later.
I mean, you're studying in MICA right now. So I just want to know how your experience has been. However, it's going to be virtual, a lot of virtual experience. I don't think you've gone to campus yet.
Yeah.
So tell us how the experience has been of being in MICA and being associated with MICA.
Well, it's been a wonderful experience. I mean, I frankly did not know about any sort of. I did not know about colleges at all, right? I would have never thought about pursuing an MBA while I was in the Indian Military Academy. I even discovered CAT after I came out. So I knew CAT was an exam and so on. I did not know what it consisted of, and I came out, and that's when I knew about it. And then someone told me that someone told me that you're actually kind of creative, so you should go for MICA. I'm like, cool. And that's actually a good decision that I made, because the person was right.
This is something which I am looking forward to this section, because this is something I want to understand as to how you look at marketing as. and whatever you've studied so far, how you look at it from those perspectives, and from your own personal perspective, how do you look at marketing? What is marketing to you?
So initially, when I was giving CAT, you have this cliche perception that marketing is all about marketing. That behind the stage marketing would be about the advertisements behind the product or how the product is put forward in different how the product is put forward in front of the consumers. Okay, that is what my perception of marketing was generally. But obviously, once you start learning about marketing, the perception changes. You start realizing that there are there are layers to it. That layers actually help you identifying. Okay, see, when you start beginning to see everything from the terms of marketing, you start seeing communication on the TV. You start wondering, okay, what are the layers that are going behind it? As in, what it is trying to convey to the consumer. Then you start wondering about how the brand, how the brand manager must have what the brand manager must have done that such and such ad received such and such compliment or such and such backlash. As a brand manager, you would be wondering, okay, so you see it from the lens of a brand manager. You'd be like, okay, what are the brand? You keep looking at places where the brands do stuff that is wrong, and you keep looking at places where the brands do stuff that is right. Then you're exposed to one thing that I never considered in marketing, actually, frankly speaking, when I was even giving CAT or this, would be the digital marketing aspects. And that maybe because of my background, I'm sure others have given it, and that I'm sure others, there are a lot of, I think there's a digital marketing course offered in Google that I had done, but part of just for general sake of doing it. But I never considered that aspects of digital marketing. And what all is important to it. So especially in digital marketing, you kind of understand what are the media insights that you get? What are the various stuff that is required to properly know whether your product or service is actually being marketed well. So that you start identifying the layers that are important. Be the layers, it's the semiotics about how it is shown to you, and what are the various subconscious and psychological levels to it, or the direct levels to it, like what is being presented in front of you. Certain aspects in terms of sales and distribution, in the sense that how do you deal with retailers and all that, and I've not had any hands-on experience. It's all based on the case study that I've observed, right? So it gives you a lot of depth in understanding that there's an entire process to when your product or service is going to be out there, and that actually, and it's all about that. It's all about that marketing per se, that management of that product or service that actually leads to its success. So that is itself a very powerful and point. I mean, so that's what I never knew that marketing had so much depth, and that's what I'm discovering.
Right. So tell me something. You've mentioned about different aspects, different layers of marketing right now. So is there any? I mean, what I want to ask is it necessary that to understand these concepts in marketing you need an MBA? Or is MBA necessary to actually understand all of this? Or can all this, why does MBA play a different factor here?
I would say that the role that MBA plays, one thing that a person can do, if that can go for that can go for any education per se, right, is to know what to study in what order, right? So for example, you're in BTech, right? So if you knew that, okay, I have to study this and this and this, in what order, you know where you're going to end up being, and you know what the degree is actually worth, because you know the order that is specified of educating yourself.
Right.
So it's like any other education, but any other education in the sense that you're clueless about the order, you're given that order of what to study in what order. But the best part about it, I would say, it would be the peer learning. I mean, so frankly speaking, this is my technically this is the first time that I've been to college environment per se, right? In the sense that,
Right.
and it has actually opened my eyes in the sense of what my peers can actually teach me that is beyond the books, right? Or beyond what we study.
Next up, I want to understand. I mean, you're a story writer. You write screenplays, and how is that helpful when it comes to marketing? Or is that helpful? That is the first question. If yes, how is that helpful?
See, if I'm writing a story, I mean, me for example, I don't write elements of fantasy and all that. I write in a genre that's more realistic. And when you write in a genre that's realistic, you're actually shaping what is existing and giving it a narrative flavor, right? And the same thing happens even in marketing. You're giving something that is you're giving something that is very maybe it has an advantage or so. It has a unique selling point and all, and you're giving it the narrative flavor sometimes, and you putting it forward as if this is the thing that you need, or this is the thing that you definitely, that this feeling, it sometimes acts as if it's filling your need gap, that you definitely require this, or that you should talk about this, and so on. So it gives you that to identify where the flavor is required, so it's like you create the best of the brands actually do create stories around them, right? In the sense that their entire history becomes a story in itself, meaning from what product they had launched when and so on, right? But that itself becomes like, for example, in a story, when when I'm writing a story, there's certain beats in a story, right? I know, for instance, that okay, if I give a twist right now, it's going to work. If I give a twist later, it's going to work. So I know the story elements that okay, if I show that this person is this, that's a mini twist, and that's going to work.
Right.
So it's the same way, knowing what is going to work in front of your audience. That is important. Knowing the phases, okay, because this matters. The pace matters. How far, what are you showing your customers? When are you showing customers and all that? At what timelines? So you need to understand. And obviously, that understanding is backed by research and all that. But to get even if it's backed by research, you do require some intuitive skills, right? So to understand that gut feeling.
If I am someone who wants to do an MBA in marketing, and I am still in the phase of preparing for CAT, and it's like I probably want to do it next year, or say in the coming few years, how should I build my profile? First of all, is there a need to build a profile, or is there not? But if yes, how can someone approach building a profile? Because I'm sure, because MBAs include, yes, the test scores, but also the interview becomes a very major factor in selection process. So
there are two things that you can do actually. You can either do and create a talking point, because in interviews those talking points matter, right? So that profile itself, you're basically talking about the talking points that the interviewer is going to ask you about, or that they're going to ponder about, or that they're going to be impressed about, right? So you can have the talking points while doing what you're doing at that moment. In the sense that I know people who just in the last year of the college they give CAT and all that. At that time, they're busy doing what they were doing that time. So if they are in college and there's something happening in the college, they know that okay, I got to perform here, I got to do stuff here, and they're doing that. There's another phase where you are going out of the way and doing something so that it just reflects there as a talking point. Both are okay. Like you're doing an additional course on Coursera just so that you can talk about it or act as it. The point is, you really want to do the course. That is the thing that is there. I would suggest that merging both of them together in the sense that you know what you're doing at every point, and there's a reason attached to why. Actually, that helps you later on in the interview also, in the sense that when you know for sure that you did it not for the sake of adding it as a point, that okay, I just did it so that it is reflected there. But when you know that okay, you did it because you can, actually that is going to guide you for life only, because whatever you're going to do at every phase, because see, you're going to end up learning stuff, you're going to end up doing stuff, and that stuff needs to pay off, and that's going to pay off, and consistently it's going to be like a domino effect. It's going to help you in the long run only. So I would suggest that if you are currently doing something, pursuing something and all that, and to focus on the points of performance there, while incorporating additional points from outside into that same performance, not just doing it stuff for the sake of it, sake of adding it as a point.
Tell me, so you've built a profile. You have, say, 10 points in your profile. But when you're pitching your profile in an interview, in basically an MBA marketing interview, you rarely get chance to talk about 10 points, right? You get chance to talk about only the few major points because that's how much time you have. So, I mean, is there a way where how people can pitch their profile, or how is that done basically? So the thing is, when you say profile, it involves academics, it involves extracurriculars, it involves your work professional experience, everything. So how much weightage should be given while you're pitching your profile?
See, there are two things. If you feel that there's a point that definitely needs to be focused upon, that they need to talk about it, because that is the point that is going to define you, right? Because there are some points that define you, that you've had an accomplishment for which you have dedicated 5 years of your life. Okay, and if they don't talk about it, then they're going to assume that you've done nothing for 5 years of your life, right? In the sense that what you've worked upon for 5 years of your life has, they're going to say that, okay, he's not done so much so for this much time. So the point is that like to every interview that I have been to, they were asked for an introduction in the starting, right? Sometimes do at the point that give an introduction where you don't mention anything that is on your this. So the point is that they're going to definitely go through you, in the sense, okay, what all he has done before calling you in, right? But once you're in and once you're asked to interact, I think that interaction is a mandatory thing that is everywhere. I suppose it is. I suppose they are. I think everyone is told, okay, give an introduction of yourself. I'm assuming that exists. Okay, if that exists, if you're giving an introduction of yourself, get that point in as if it's an additional attribute of yours, by not mentioning that point per se. Like, I also did this. Instead of saying I also did this, my learning from this was this and this, because the learning is not mentioned, your achievement is mentioned as in what you've done, right? Either you have that as a talking point in what you give to them, and that is just an attribute of what you've done. Okay, it's not about how you've done it or what are the learnings that you've derived from it, right? And obviously, apart from normal learnings, that is knowledge, you sometimes have activities there which actually give you learnings that are far greater than anything that you could have ever done. Like maybe if you did rafting, and in that rafting, you've done it on a Great Fire Rapid and so on, and you've had a near-death experience, and that maybe taught you something. Okay, so you want to talk about that, and or you had an injury because of which you could not do anything for 2 years in a Great Fire in that rafting accident, and how you coped up from that injury and became a resilient person. That is another talking point, right? But that is not going to be reflected there. You're not going to write that, okay, I was injured for 2 years, right? Or you're not going to say that I was hospitalized for 2 years and all that. But the point is that if you want to talk about it, you can use that and that. You can talk about the character that you are,
right,
in that one sentence or so, where that attribute also gets featured in, and your learning from it also gets featured in.
What is the 3 tips from your end as to what they can do to enhance their chances of getting the best score?
First step would be to think in the long run. I mean, to practice in the short run, but to think in the long run. Like, okay, do what you have in hand first. Focus on that. Like, for example, I was practicing papers, but yet I knew, okay, what I have to improve in the long run, how the planning needs to take place. So that is important to practice in the short run and plan in the long run, in the sense that you have the entire picture in your head, but how to fill in the jigsaw puzzle of it is that you do slowly and over time. That you know what is each piece that you're fitting in, how crucial it is to the next step.
Right.
And that kind of defines what you later on also, in the sense that when you speak or when you are performing somewhere and so on, you have always known that, okay, I did this and this, and this is the piece that I put in this piece, and that's how crucial it is to you. So that is one tip. The second tip would be to be overconfident. That's what I would always say. Be overconfident in the
Very
sense that,
interesting tip.
yeah, I mean it. See the worst case of the worst case of being overconfident is that either you portray yourself as you can be overconfident without being arrogant. That is so.
Right.
In interviews and all that, you try not to be arrogant, obviously, but you can be overconfident because that feeling. I'm usually assuming that people are nervous. I think everyone is nervous when they go there. So that overconfidence actually negates the nervousness. So that entire nervousness is negated, and so that's why it's kind of important. Third tip would be in terms of if it's that marketing that you're doing, to have a general idea. Marketing as a decision should not be, or even MBA for that matter, or even anything that you do, should not be a decision that just pops in your head like out of the blue, that like a eureka moment that you're getting out of the bathtub and you're saying, eureka, I think I'll do marketing. No, I mean, you got to know whether that is what you want, or whether that is what you. So even though I for one discovered the subjects, and luckily I enjoyed the subjects, but the discoverability and the enjoyability may not follow in everyone's case. You gotta know beforehand, okay, what am I venturing into?
Correct. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming today, and it was really good talking to you. It's been a long time. I hope to talk to you again.